Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. Doss here. First off, I want to apologize if I sound a bit weird, a bit off. I have just returned from Anime Expo. I went all 4 days. It is literally the day after the convention, so I am feeling a bit rough, feeling a bit sick, a bit under the weather. I was going to be taking this week off for making videos and stuff. However, we've got an important update today, as you can see here. It appears that the PTB for the next big chapter of Dead by Daylight will be tomorrow because we have this developer update. This is a pretty interesting one. So let's dive right into it. You can see here the 9.1.0 update is approaching. So let's dive into the notable gameplay changes you can expect from the upcoming public test build. Plus, stay tuned for the PTB patch notes where we'll share the precise values that are changing for each of the topics below. What that means is these are the preliminary patch notes. These are what's going to be shown to us today. And then tomorrow, when we presumably get the Walking Dead characters in the PTB, we're going to get full-on values for everything. And we're going to get this PTB updated to include the Walking Dead information. But the first thing that you can see right there peeking out is something that's probably the biggest change in this, which I'm not really excited for personally. It is the Fog Vial, the new survivor item. Added a new equipable item for survivors, the Fog Vial. Its effects include using a Fog Vial causes a fog cloud to expand outwards from the point where it was used, dissipating after a set time. Scratch marks do not spawn within a fog cloud. Audio is muffled for anyone within a fog cloud. The auras of players within a fog cloud cannot be read by other players. The Fog Vial has a cooldown which recharges over time once used. Added item rarities and add-ons. And the dev note reads, the Fog Vial specializes in creating confusion and breaking line of sight. When it's activated, this fog obscures your surroundings while still allowing for limited visibility within your immediate vicinity. By moving to a single recharging use, survivors can use the Fog Vial multiple times per trial and don't have to be quite so precious about saving charges, letting them be more in the moment with their vial uses. Stay tuned for patch notes for more information about Fog Vial rarities and add-ons. So essentially, this is going to be working exactly like the Void Crystals from the Halloween update in 2024 or the Fog Crystals in the most recent iteration of 2v8. I'm not a fan of it. In the Halloween update, I just thought they were kind of useless as Survivor and really annoying as killer. The muffling of audio really sucked. And in 2v8, I thought Fog Crystals were garbage. I thought they were useless. And unless add-ons change what this does and make it useful, I think this item is going to be a complete flop. I think this is probably another useless item. But that's not it for items with this update. So we're getting an update to keys. Changed item charges to refer to individual uses of item, rather than the overall time it can be used. Adjusted the uses for this item to cover the following. Channel the key to consume 1 charge and reveal survival auras for a limited time. When near a closed hatch, consume 1 charge to unlock it. Consume 1 charge to quickly unlock a chest and gain an item of rarity or higher. Once a chest has been unlocked with a key, it is revealed to nearby survivors and can be rummaged by 1 other survivor to gain an additional item of rarity or higher. They adjusted the effects of individual item rarities and several add-ons. The dev note reads, keys stood out as the least used survivor items and were typically outclassed by other options. We've reworked them to offer a wider range of utility and tap into players yearning for higher rarity items. Now the charge system is easier to track. Think of it as uses rather than use time. The aura reading capabilities of keys are improved, while also adding some team-wide utility. In addition to making it easier for the equipped player to get quality items from chests, keys also extend the opportunity to a single teammate. Stay tuned for the patch notes for details on key and map item rarities and add-ons. So, like this said, keys have been pretty much useless, especially green keys, like the broken keys. The only keys that have had some kind of use have been the purple and pink keys, because they can open up the hatch. Now, people would equip add-ons onto lower rarity keys in order to get things like aura reading on killers and stuff like that. But like they say, the usage term was very confusing. People didn't really know what charges meant. So now they're referring to how many times you can use the item instead of just how long you can use it. Hopefully they might update the UI for it as well to actually show like, hey, this is one use, this is another use, stuff like that. We'll have to see. But again, this is not the only item getting an update for this PTB. We're getting updates to maps. Change item charges to refer to individual uses of items like they had above. Adjust the uses for the item to cover the following. Channel the map to consume 1 charge and reveal nearby pallets and vault auras to yourself for a limited time. While auras are revealed, press the use button again to create a beam of light only visible to survivors, revealing the auras of generators within the beam's range to all survivors. Adjusted the effects of individual item rarities and several add-ons. The dev note says, similar to keys, maps stood out as an underutilized item which didn't fit into beginner or experienced player kits. With this change, maps retain the spirit of giving players an awareness of their surroundings, making their effects more consistent, extending some values to teammates. Now there's no need to track objects before they show up. So maps have also been a very niche item. There were add-ons to have you be able to summon a beam of light survivors can see. Having that be base kit from what I'm reading and having it reveal generator auras if it's close to that beam of light is a pretty good change for that. And being able to reveal pallets and vault auras to yourself with a map is pretty good as well. So you don't have to use a perk slot for something like Windows Opportunity. If you have a base map, you can use that while in Chase and stuff like that. And again, we'll have to see what these add-ons are going to be once this update goes live. I'm certain we're going to be getting new ones, but some pretty interesting changes to some base items. Now, the rest of this goes into some other things which are pretty nice, like presets. So with this moving forward, we're going to be getting more presets. Currently, we only have 3 for both cosmetics and for perks, but you can see right here, they're increasing the total number of character customization presets to 7, increasing the number of loadout presets to 7, and adding the ability to change preset names. Whether it's the pursuit of fashion or prepping perks for every situation, we want to make it easier to save your faves. Don't worry, your existing presets will be ported into this updating system. That's great. I have presets for basically all my characters, and I'm always down to have more presets. This is going to be able to, like, if you want to have specific outfits or you want to have specific builds, you can. You don't have to just be limited to 3. Now we're going to have 7. And again, you can name them. So like, let's say, like they say right here, Dwelf mode. Let's say I have a cosmetic where it's me as the elf skin for Dwight. I can name it Dwelf, and I don't know exactly what that is. I think that's a good change. Hopefully they may add more presets in the future. We'll have to wait and see. We're also getting keyboard and mouse on consoles. Mouse and keyboard support is being added to PS4, PS5, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series. This feature is not going to be available on the PTB as it's only playable on Steam. But the dev note says quite self-explanatory. We've extended full mouse and keyboard support to a number of console platforms so that players have more choice in how they approach gameplay. This has been something that's been asked for a while. For me personally, I don't like playing a lot of these games on a controller. I played Dead by Daylight back in the day at a gaming cafe on a PC, and then when I finally got internet at my house, I got Dead by Daylight for console, and I tried playing a controller and it was rough, and I really wish I was able to play on my mouse and keyboard. It would have been a lot better. Now, this isn't going to be working exactly how it will be on a PC. When you're using a mouse and keyboard on any type of console, you're going to get a tiny bit of delay, like input lag. It shouldn't be super noticeable, but it's not going to feel the exact same as if you're playing it on PC. But regardless, this is a really good thing to bring in. I'm all for games that are like this, specifically to have keyboard and mouse on consoles, especially because this game doesn't really rely a ton on like controller aim and stuff like that. Like aim assist is what I mean. We're also getting custom match improvements. So this was mentioned previously. It looks like it's being implemented finally here. So adding a hotkey input to custom game spectating, switch to killer's perspective, adding spectator hotkeys next to player portraits to improve usabilities, adding the option to toggle spectator hotkeys visibility and adjust them in the input binding menu, adding a visual indicator to show spectators who they're viewing, and showing dead survivor icons if joining as a spectator after being sacrificed. The dev note says, following up on the latest update changes to custom games, we've introduced more improvements to make view switching and tournament casting even easier. This also ensures viewers have more information about what they're seeing. It's going to be great. I know they've been sponsoring and supporting an official like tournament type of thing currently and recently. So this just makes this a lot better in general. There's some killer updates as well. So one of my boys, Pyramid Head the Executioner, he's getting a lot of stuff added to his base kit. So Pyramid Head, his only two good add-ons were his range add-ons. That's really what anybody ran. I know Hens recently made a video showcasing the Mangled add-on, but range is typically what you really want with Pyramid Head. So adding it to base kit, they're increasing the range to Punishment of the Damned. Obviously, we don't know by how much. We're going to figure that out tomorrow. I'll probably make a video detailing the specific numbers tomorrow. But they're also increasing the duration of Rites of Judgment's trail, drawing, and trail lifetime, which I believe is another add-on that he has, which is making stuff stay around for longer. They're decreasing the movement speed given to him while doing Rites of Judgment. So when you're dragging your knife in the ground, he's going to be moving slower than he usually is. But they're adding haste and duress effects to survivors saved from a cage. This has kind of been needed for a while. If you time it right, if someone's rescuing someone from a cage, you can hit the rescuer and immediately down the survivor that's coming out of the cage, because they don't get the effects of like the borrowed time stuff or anything like that from being unhooked, because it's a cage. This is something that's been in the game ever since that whole thing was implemented with base kit, borrowed time, and stuff like that, where the cages didn't apply it. So I'm glad that they're finally adding it, because it is a bit unfair. And they're also including input buffering, which I'm going to need to test that tomorrow. I do like playing Pyramid Head, so I have to see how this feels, but they're adding input buffering to the transition from Punishment of the Damned to Rites of Judgment, and to begin caging or killing a survivor when the prompt is available. And they're reworking his add-ons, and they say here in the dev note, we've heard your feedback. The Executioner's add-ons could use more variety. Range shouldn't feel like the only viable option. In addition to making range increase his base kit, we've reworked his add-ons to introduce more interesting options, like adjusting the spread of Punishment of the Damned or triggering effects on misses. Outside of these changes, keep an eye out for the patch notes for add-on details. We've made some quality of life adjustments and slightly reduced his zoning potential. So that makes me very interested. Like, having an effect if you miss is interesting, and then increasing the spread for his Punishment of the Damned, which is his ranged attack, I think is going to be interesting. So if there's an add-on that makes it like wider, I think that's going to be a decent add-on, because that is something that happens quite a bit. If you take a blind shot, a survivor might just barely move out of the way of Punishment of the Damned. But if you have this like widening add-on, it's going to make it easier to get some blind shots. But we're going to have to wait and see tomorrow for it. The Clown is also getting some updates. They're increasing his movement speed while reloading his bottle. They're decreasing the bottle reload time, which is phenomenal. That's great. These two are just great changes for him overall. Adjust the effects of yellow bottles. They are increasing the haste effect, increasing the distance and speed that smoke spreads to, and increasing the activation speed. For purple, they're adjusting it so that it decreases the hindered effect, decreases how long the hindered effect lingers after leaving the smoke. They're adding an input buffer to charging a bottle throw and reloading bottles, and adjusting several add-ons. When it comes to the Clown's power, his purple bottles see much more use than his yellow ones across skill levels. To better incentivize their use, we've given the yellow bottles a quicker activation, greater speed boost, and wider effect range, coupled with some base speed increases. To compensate, purple bottles have received a slight nerf, requiring a little more throw control to get their full value. So Clown has been in a really rough spot for a very long time. He's one of the worst killers, and a lot of survivors don't like going against him because of his purple bottles. Now, they got rid of the whole screen effect that the purple bottles used to give. I think they got rid of that a year ago, but the hindered and stuff like that has been kind of an issue with him. Like, it is a very steep hindering, and it does stay around for a while. So I'm glad they're decreasing the numbers for how long you're hindered and how much. But the big things is increasing his movement speed when reloading. decreasing how long it takes to reload, and the changes to his yellow bottles. So his yellow bottles that I dub his piss bottles aren't super worth it. I know Polyester, I know Poly, he uses basically nothing but the yellow bottles exclusively. He uses the aura reading bottle almost exclusively. I'm going to assume that that's also getting changed, which I'm probably going to have to mention to him that I have a feeling that there's going to be a nerf to that. But one of my complaints when playing Clown has always been the fact that you throw the yellow bottle and by the time like you are walking through it, it hasn't activated. So when you're already gone through it, the yellow bottle activates. So you basically have to like waste a bit of time to wait for it to activate, or you have to throw it so far away or so high up that you end up getting the effect. And the fact that they're increasing the spread of it is pretty nice. If you don't know, at higher levels for Clown, if you want your bottle's effects to have a bigger radius, you throw it up at like a tree, because then it falls down. It falls down in kind of like an arcing path, like the smoke. So it ends up covering more of the map in that way. Overall, pretty good changes for Clown. We're also getting a update to the night, and you can see right there the pig. So for the night, they're increasing his maximum patrol path length. I think that's a decent change. It did seem a little bit short. They're increasing the path drawing speed, acceleration, and strafe speed. The Carnifex standard spawns slower. He is a slower guard, so it would make sense that the standard should spawn slower. The Assassin Jailer standard spawned quicker. They are faster guards. Makes sense that the standard should spawn quicker as well. Added input buffering to drawing a patrol path and adjusted call to arms add-on. Drawing patrol paths is an important part of the Knight's gameplay, so we've made it feel snappier and extended its range slightly, making call to arms partially base kit. We've also adjusted standard spawn times for each guard. In particular, the standards for the 2 chase focus guards will spawn quicker to help give survivors a little more counterplay during double team scenarios where they tend to be at their strongest. That's exactly what I was thinking. So Carnifex is absolutely the slowest guard. He's extremely slow. It's actually quite a bit easier to outrun him and outmaneuver him when he's chasing you than with the Jailer or the Assassin. So it makes sense to have the standard that spawns slower. For those who aren't aware, if you run through the flag, the standard, you gain haste and you immediately despawn the guard that's chasing you. So it's not necessarily fair with the Carnifex being the slowest that his flag would spawn the same amount of time as the Assassin Jailer, because at that point you're gonna be able to dissipate him because of it. Now the pig is getting a buff. Increased crouch movement speed, increased speed of crouching and uncrouching, increased the speed at which the tear radius fades when crouching, increased ambush movement speed, added input buffering to crouching, charging, and ambush attack, and adjusted several add-ons. Yes, we know, we buffed pig. Outside of her traps, her ability to surprise survivors is an important part of her appeal. By increasing her speed and making her tear radius fade quicker while sneaking, she'll have more chances stacked on unprepared survivors. So the pig stealth has always been pretty garbage. It's not great. She moves pretty slow, and it is quite a while to uncrouch and crouch. So the fact they're making it faster for everything on the board is pretty nice. Having them increase the movement speed for ambush is pretty nice. Overall, I think Pig's gonna feel a lot better, and we'll have to wait and see how the pig mains do with the new improved pig. We are also getting some perk updates. So any means necessary, appraisal, better together, built to last, deja vu, detective's hunch, potential energy, still sight, and streetwise are all getting changes. So all of them besides streetwise are getting updates, but streetwise itself is getting a complete rework. And devs say we've adjusted values on a few perks that had low pick rates to help buff them. In addition, we've adjusted perks that affect items to make sure they're compatible with this new, with the updated survivor item changes. So they have to change streetwise. My apologies, it's been a long weekend. Because, again, they're changing how charges work. So streetwise and built to last and stuff like that are going to be needing some looking at. Obviously, streetwise, how it works is it slows the charges that get used, like the amount of a bar that you're using on the item. And since that's not really how it's going to be working moving forward, they have to change that perk basically entirely. So we're going to have to see what exactly streetwise is going to be doing tomorrow. But killer perks are also getting updated. Dragon's Grip Franken's Demise, Hubris, and Insidious are getting updated. Overwhelming Presence is getting reworked because, again, it affects items. And then they're updating Scourge Hook, Hangman's Trick. Similar to the above, we've buffed some perks which boasted lower pick rates and adjusted certain perks that affect items so they're compatible with the recent changes. And then until next time, the Dead by Daylight team. This is a very interesting PTB that's going to be happening. It's going to be a very interesting change. We're going to have to wait and see tomorrow. I'm going to be debating if I want to stream tomorrow or not. As you guys can hear, I'm feeling very unwell. I would just say keep a lookout. Hit the bell if you want to get notified if I'm going to be going live or not. But I'm going to try to make a video on the changes tomorrow and obviously the new survivors coming tomorrow. For anyone who is wondering, PTB is only accessible to Steam users. It'll be up tomorrow at, I believe, either 8 or 9 a.m. Pacific time, aka either 11 or noon Eastern. We'll have to see. This patch note forum is going to be updated with the specific numbers, and it's going to be updated to include the information for the new survivors coming tomorrow. But that's going to be it for me today. Leave a comment down below if you are excited for the PTB tomorrow. And as always, I hope you all have a good morning, afternoon, and evening. Goodbye, everyone.